Welcome to Kingdom Success University, where I teach kingdom principles that will transform you from the inside out. Building your life on solid foundation will provide consistent and repeatable success no matter where you are at in life. Some of the key principles that will be taught on the podcast are leadership, finances, mindset, attitude, and much more. These are the following topics that will be discussed in the Kingdom Relationship series. The power of level setting. How did you come to this decision? What about your background? Family dynamics? Financial personality? What are your personal attitudes towards life? Personal development plan. Overview about relationship culture. Relationship culture part 1, worshiping God together. Relationship culture part 2, personal relationship to each other. Relationship culture part 3, raising children. Relationship culture part 4, qualifying outside influences. The board of directors, your top 5 influencers. Review and discuss each red flag from the board of directors. Overview for honor in relationships. Honor to God part 1. Honor to each other, part 2, breaking generational curses and strongholds, pre-engagement talks, engagement to marriage. These are the following topics that will be discussed in the Kingdom Relationship series. Welcome to Kingdom Success University, where we teach kingdom principles in a practical way. I want to welcome you in again to this university where we teach the Word of God. Now, I'm excited, again, to talk to you about the Kingdom Relationship series. Now, the title of this episode is called the Trust Quadrant. Now, I know you're like, Trust Quadrant? Like, I've heard of Cash Flow Quadrant from Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So what is this about? Well, the purpose of this episode is to really outline from another episode that I did called Being Trusted versus Entrusted, where I talked about there is a difference where God trusts you until he can entrust you. And so what I want to do from that episode is spin off to this to talk about the practicality of it. Because when it comes to the interaction of an individual talking to people, sometimes lines can get blurred, and sometimes we can have these false thoughts in our heads when it's really not true. So, but perception is reality, but sometimes that's just really people's reality, right? It's their reality. It's not actual facts at times. It can be just their reality. But what I would like to do is I'd like to outline in this episode how this quadrant works when it comes to the kingdom relationship process. So when you think about this trust, people have different ways in how they think about trust, right? Trust can mean, I trust someone with my life. I trust somebody with my money. I trust someone to tell me, a lawyer that can tell me the laws that are operating within the state of Ohio or within that state you live in. So there's certain levels of trust that people can have. However, you need to know there's tiers to those things, right? So how does this all flow into the kingdom relationship process? Well, it's everything, because it's the foundation to how you really engage in a friendship. And so I would like to really talk about the quadrant of trust and to help you to see certain things that maybe you felt when you interacted with someone, but then you couldn't pinpoint, okay, why are they acting like this, right? And again, this is just context, so where when you start to engage in this relationship process, that you will now know okay, here's some of the things you can identify. And how do you now navigate through that process? That's what today's episode is all about. The Trust Quadrant. So to preface this, how this was inspired was by a book. It's called The Speed of Trust from Stephen Covey. It's a great read. It's not an easy read, but it's a great read. Now it's over 300 plus pages, and it's well researched, well thought out. And the purpose of this book was to really provide the psychology behind how people really operate and function within the workspace, and how people can be taxed at different levels based upon outcomes, right? So they have this layer of like the cores that you should be functioning from, which I'm not going to get into and bore you with. But however, he came up with this quadrant. Now, it's called the trust matrix in the book, but I'm calling it the trust quadrant because that's what it looks like to me. And so I want to really take this diagram and really talk this through of, hey, well, how does trust really work when developing a friendship? How should it work, right? And how do I actually apply it? Because, you know, that again, we have all these different thoughts, right? And so I want to just highlight this because what I would like for you to do, for those who are listening on podcasts and people who's watching on YouTube, all I'm asking is, hey, self-evaluate yourself and be honest. Because it's one thing to lie to other people and be like, hey, look, I'm not going to really let you know about me. But it's another thing when you lie to yourself and you be like, oh, no, that's not me. All I'm asking is, hey, keep an open mind, keep your heart open, and just hear me out. Because again, this is all about how do I navigate this? How do I preference this? How do I sustain this? And that's going to be the most important thing that you can know, that you should know in your life. So in this book, Stephen talks about this trust matrix. So I'm going to show you how this all works, and then bring it all together to how do I now, when I decide to go through this process with someone, how do we get to this place here? And I'll walk you through that. So getting started, there's 4 zones in this quadrant, 4. And I'm gonna go through each one. And I'm gonna go through the thought process of each one. And then we're gonna wrap it up with a nice little bow. So zone 1, here's what it says. It says high propensity, low analysis. And in this zone, it's blind trust, it's gullibility. So what does that mean? Here's what it means. There are people out in the world who have a high propensity to have this high trust for people, but have a low analysis to analyze if this person is truly for them, which leads to blind trust. Oh, well, the person says they love me because they constantly call me and they're around me and they want to hang out all the time. Is that really true? See, Stephen is saying that, hey, you know, in the workforce, it's a little bit different, right? But what I'm doing is I'm taking this out of the workforce and putting this in a relationship because it's so true. There are people out there that's like, yo, they say they like me, so I believe them. It's blind trust. It's low analysis. They can't dissect through the information, right? They have a low analysis. They can't read into the actions because they're just like, oh, the person told me they like me and I like them. Oh, wow, they told me that they're this and that. And okay, cool, I believe them. And then these are the people that come back around and like, I don't know why my relationship is not working out. The guy said that he was so into me, and then all of a sudden he's no longer into me. There are men out there who say, hey, I gave this woman my word and I'm committed to her, but she's not committed to me. And she keeps treating me like dirt. It's blind trust. And look, I'm gonna be very honest with you. This is my default right here. This used to be this is the default. Now I want to let everyone know that we all have defaults. We all do. We all have blind spots. We're all not perfect. I'm not. I have gullibility. She says she likes me. So I'm going to believe in that. But that's blind trust. That's why it's called blind trust, because you get blindsided. Because you're like, what? What happened? So that's zone one. We have high propensity, meaning we look at the tendency in terms of action, but we don't read into the action. We can't analyze the action. We can't dissect the action because we're just so in the, well, they're doing it. But that doesn't work. But then there's zone 3. And it's low propensity, low analysis. And these are the people who don't trust at all. They no trust. They're very indecisive. And you probably know people like that. I have friends. I know people. I've come into contact with these kind of people. These are the people who haven't really developed their sense of discernment, their sense of tendency. Like they just haven't developed anything. They're just like, you know what? No matter what you do or what you say, I just don't trust you at all. Now, these are rare occasions that you run into people like this. Rare occasions. But there are people who function from this. And for me, I don't run into people like I don't like associate with people like that. Because you can't build nothing with people like that. I don't even know how those kind of people get in relationships. It's like, why are you in a relationship? You have no trust. You don't trust them at all. So why are you in a relationship? Like, how did you even talk to them? How did you get her? Like, I don't know. But these are the people who have low propensity, meaning they have a low propensity, meaning they can't read into action and they can't even dissect the action. They just like, hey, look, because I have low senses on both of those fronts, I'm not even going to put the thought into it or the energy into it. So I'm just going to just stay in the no trust, period, case closed. It doesn't matter what you tell me. I'm not going to trust you, period. Okay. And those are the people who are on the fence. Those are the people who are on the fence. They're just on the fence. They're like, I don't know about you. I stay away from those people. Right? I stay away from them. So that's zone 3. But then we have zone 4. And these are my favorite people. Low propensity in this quadrant and high analysis. And from this zone, they function from distrust. And they're very suspicious. So let me put it in this way. These are the people who think you're guilty until proven innocent. Now notice it says distrust. Now, It didn't say no trust. So they trust, but to a certain extent. They have a skeptical eye. Oh, this person can't be who they say they are. This and these kind of people, they really look for the negative. These are the people that truly look for what's wrong with you. Do you have PTSD? Do you have mental health issues? Do you have any financial? Like, they want to know. Now, notice it says low propensity but high analysis. So hold on, what does that mean? So the tendency is not to read into necessarily what you do, but they read more into everything you say and do. So they major in the minor things in the relationship, in the friendship. They're so in the weeds, and they're trying to dissect all your words and trying to get you caught up where when they can't even read into the actions that you're taking to present to them your genuine self, but because they have such a critical and negative view in how this friendship should be, that they can't even see that. They major in the minors. Now, there's zone 2. Because in zone 4, these are people who are suspicious. Now, again, I'm not saying that they can't grow. I'm not saying that they can't, move on. I'm just saying this is just where they're at. Look, I'm just not going to trust everything you tell me. I'm sorry. I'm just not going to do it. Because anybody could, because you hear from people. Yeah, anybody can tell you anything. But you got to watch actions. And isn't it interesting? Even the people who are suspicious still get duped. Why? Because they major in the minors. They don't focus on the right things. They focus on the wrong things, and because they focus on the wrong things, they miss the thing that they need to be paying attention to, and then they get duped. And then guess what? Now it feeds more into their suspicion. Oh, now I need to look out for that. Oh, I need to look out for that now. And then so you're going from wrong to wrong to wrong to wrong to wrong. And now you got all these things that you have in your repertoire. And you're like, all right, now I have 25 things I need to evaluate this guy on, because this guy did this and this guy did that and that guy, and if this situation happened and my friend's situation happened. Okay. But there's another zone. It's zone 2. And it's high propensity, high analysis. And this is smart trust. And it's good judgment. So what does this mean? So it says that this person has a tendency to trust into the action of the person, but also can read into how this action is lining up with the true motivation or true motive of what they're intending or what they've communicated, in order for them to now say, is this congruent to exactly what they do and say? And that's good judgment. That's smart trust. It's basically this. It's the opposite of zone 4. Because you're guilty until proven innocent. And in the gullibility, you're not guilty until proven innocent. But they're like, oh, I trust this person's innocent 100%. I'm believing in everything. It doesn't matter what the evidence say. They didn't do it. Well, that's blind trust. And then obviously in zone 3, people just don't trust at all. So there's nothing you can do there. But what about zone 2? And here's what zone 2 is. It says, I'm going to trust what you tell me, but I'm going to verify. Trust, but verify. Now that's a positive spin to it. Oh, yeah, everything you tell me, absolutely. But now we need to ensure that it lines up with everything that you say too. And hey, and if it doesn't align, which again, there's some things that happen, we're not perfect. Now we need to have a discussion to say, hey, I know that you said this, but then you did this. Hey, let's talk about that. See, that's a grown adult. So this person that's functioning from zone 2 has a high propensity, but also a high analysis to evaluate a person through the proper lens and be able to continue to keep their relationship healthy. Now, here's the question. Now, I want to preface this before I ask this question. Now, a lot of people are going to probably say, I'm in zone 2. Now, I want to sit here and believe like I'm in zone 2. I 100% agree. Zone 2 is exactly where I'm at. And there's people on the podcast and people on YouTube that's like, James, I'm zone 2. But let's be honest. In order for you to be in zone 2, it has to be a partnership. You can't do it by yourself. Because what are you evaluating? There's nothing to evaluate. It's a partnership. But hold on. But there is a default. And all of us are in these three quadrants. You're in zone 1, which is gullibility, which is blind trust. You're in zone 3, which is no trust, indecisive. And then you're in zone 4, which is suspicion with distrust. Now, here's the question I'm going to ask. So if all of us are not in zone 2, now again, this is not to the married people, okay? So if you're married, I'm not talking to you here. But I'm talking about the single people. So if you meet a person, whether if it's on a dating app, out and about, Facebook, doesn't matter, Instagram. Didn't know him prior to talking to him. Now, I just told you there's people, we function in these zones. Now, whether if people know that they're functioning from this zone or if people are aware of the zone, we are functioning from these zones. Now, the question I have to ask you is if you are in zone 1 and another person is in zone 4, how do you and that person get to zone 2? How? If you're gullible, but the person is suspicious and you're talking on the phone, there's a disconnect, right? Because you're functioning in the zone of, well, I'm hey, look, I mean, you're innocent until proven guilty. And the other person says, no, you're guilty until proven innocent. See, it's a different thought process. So you're already coming into a friendship with these thoughts from past situations, and you're like, I don't know why this is not working with other individuals. Well, because you don't know, we're in different zones. We think differently. That doesn't mean because this person is zone 4 that they don't want to go to zone 2 with you. They may not even be aware. But see, the question is about trust. How do I establish the right trust in the friendship for it to flourish into a potential courtship? How do you and I get from zone 1, zone 3, zone 4, and take a person and say, hey, you and I need to get to zone 2. How do we do it? Here's how we do it. 2 words. Level setting. What are you talking about? What does that mean, level set? We have to set the right expectations around what trust is versus what trust is not. Because if I'm in zone 1 and a person is in zone 4, they believe I am guilty until proven innocent. I believe they're innocent until proven guilty. We are not on the same page. And what I need to know is this one simple question. And this, I know this is going to be a foreign concept. And people are like, what? What are you talking about? But hear me out. It's not that a person does not want to go to zone 2. Because I believe that there are people, again, people who are really desiring to be in a kingdom relationship with another individual. They're desiring to be in a partnership, right? However, here's the question. Do they want to be in a partnership with you? That's the question. There are people who will talk to people and they'll be on the phone and, oh my gosh, we're vibing, we're clicking, man. I just want the conversation to organically happen. But then I hear these stories, right? Again, trust me, I hear it a lot. Where they're like, well, the first 3 months, man, we're doing well. And then all of a sudden, the skeletons come out. He actually has a baby with another person. He was actually married and didn't tell me. Oh my gosh, this person, said that he was X, but then he's Z. Why? Well, man, I mean, the person wasn't really truthful. Why? Well, hold up. Why? Well, I tried to get into their mindset and ask a question, but they didn't really want to answer any of the questions. See, this is some of the stuff I hear, right? And there are women out there, they'd be like, James, I'm asking questions to the man, but he's not answering my question. And I'm trying to get to know him. I'm trying to communicate with him, but he's not communicating. Here's the question. It's very simple. Does he want to participate with you? See, he may want to participate. Because he participates with his friends. She participates with her friends. She participates with someone at work. She participates. So this person is participating. The question is really, do they want to do it with you? See, before stepping into a friendship, the power of trust has to come from the level setting on what trust is and what it isn't. See, to get to zone 2, both of us need to be of the mindset that, yes, we're going to have a high propensity and a high analysis to how we evaluate each other. But however, we're going to be in partnership to ensure that we're holding each other accountable for the things we say and do. You can't do that if someone doesn't want to participate with you. So how do you do it? Here's how we do it. Before even trying to proceed forward in the friendship, before trying to proceed forward into another conversation, before you get 2 weeks in, 4 weeks in, 6 weeks in, here's the first thing you should ask. Hey, listen, Johnny, this was a great conversation. really enjoyed talking to you. Hey, I felt in the first conversation, just from a high level, hey, I felt that we connected high level from values, beliefs. Our purpose seems like they're sort of kind of aligning, which I like. I like the flow of our conversation. But here's what I really want to know, right? Because, hey, look, you're busy, I'm busy, we're all busy. And I know you don't know me, I don't know you. Now, this is me, again, I'm just saying to a woman, right? I said Johnny, but let me just put it like I'm talking to a lady. Listen, I get it, right? Look, I get you don't know me. You're like, all right, James, I just met you. Like, who are you, right? I get it, 100%. However, here's what I want you and I to go back and think about before we actually jump into another conversation. Look, there's so many things out here. There's so many levels and tiers of trust that we can get into. But let me just kind of highlight what trust is and what trust isn't. So look, I want to develop a friendship with you. And I think that, hey, this friendship could be dynamic. But let me just kind of give you my view of like what a friendship consists of. And it's only three things. Now we can add to these three things, but just starting with the basics, just three things: partnership, trust, and collaboration. That's it. Now we can add to that, but the basis of a friendship is those three things. And let me explain to you what a partnership is. So in a partnership, hey, I call you, you call me. Hey, I text you, you text me. Hey, have you ever been in a friendship where when you're talking to a guy and you're like texting him all the time, calling him all the time, and you feel like, man, I'm carrying this thing? You know, they'd be like, yeah, I felt that way. Well, guess what? I don't want you to feel that way. I don't want you to feel like you're carrying this friendship, right? Where you're like, man, I call him all the time. He never calls me, right? Partnership in this means, hey, we truly want to partner to keep this friendship, moving in the right direction. So in order for that to happen, we are both supposed to be moving this friendship forward, not one person, but both people. So that's what partnership is. Now we can add more to it, but in the basic form, that's what it is. Now let's get into trust. Let's talk about what trust is and what trust isn't. Now, when I say trust, here's what trust looks like to be. I'm gonna give you 100% of my trust for me to get to know you. And what you do from here on out will determine how much of the trust you keep or lose. It doesn't matter what happened in my past with this woman or that person or, Sally, Mary Lou. Doesn't matter. What matters is what we do here in this friendship. But I'm gonna verify as well too. But let me tell you what trust isn't. Trust isn't me asking you to come over to my house. Trust isn't, hey, can you give me, your credit card or your purse, or hey, give me the keys to your car or the title to your home. No. Let's like dumb trust. Don't do that, right? I'm not asking for that, right? I'm not asking for that. But hey, I'm just asking for, hey, for me to get to know you and for you to get to know me, we have to give 100% trust. Now, again, you may not function from that. You may come back and say, hey, you know what, James, I believe in giving the person 90% of my trust and he has to earn 10% of the other. Cool. Nothing wrong with that. Well, let me just kind of let you know where I'm at with that. If that's the best that you can give me, then you can keep it. Because that's not how I function or how I roll, right? Which again, this is a partnership, not a dictatorship. So I'm not saying give me a handout. I'm just asking for a handout. Give me 100% trust to get to know me and let me earn the rest. I'll earn the respect. I'll earn your time. I'll earn the trust at other things 100%. I'm not asking for a handout. I'm just asking for a handout. That's it. But if I can't even get the smart trust in terms of partnership with you, then what are we doing? Then it's collaboration. And here's what collaboration means to me. Collaboration means to me purposeful. Look, I don't necessarily have time to be chit-chatting. Oh, hey, what are you doing? Oh, just doing my hair and shopping for shoes and getting my nails done and getting my eyebrows done and getting my eyelashes together. That's cool. I'm not saying that again, everybody can do whatever they want, right? I'm giving you perspective in how do we get to zone 2. So I'm trying to blow out all of these thought process that these people have been functioning from zone 1, zone 3, zone 4, and let's get to zone 2 as quickly as possible. But we can't get to zone 2 until we level set and say, hey, here's what I want to do with you. But the question is, do you want to do that with me? And that's what we need to find out. So in collaboration, I'm saying, hey, look, this is very purposeful. Hey, look, I'm all for chit chat. If you want to chit chat sometimes, because, maybe we're too in the weeds and details of things, hey, no problem. But can I please ask that, or please request that, hey, when we do get on the phone, that we have some type of, I wouldn't say agenda, but some type of conversation in mind of like what we want to know to get to know each other. I want to get to know you. I want to know your dreams. I want to know your goals. I want to know your ambition. I want to know, your family, your background, where you come from. I want to know those things. But it's hard to really get to know you when we're doing a lot of shallow conversations. Which again, I get that, that's a time and a place, but I don't want to be operating in those shallow conversations every single day. We need balance. So those are the 3 things that I look for. And here's my ask to you. Now notice I didn't say, this is my expectation of you. And I'll get into that in a minute. Here's my ask. Hey, let's go back and let's really think about, is this what you want? Is this something that we both want to do? Because when we get off this phone, this is exactly what you're going to think about. Did he make me feel good? Like, was it boring? You may think like, oh, James is crazy. I don't want to talk to him anymore. Never talk to him again. Bye, right? That's fine. But you may really think through and say, wow, okay, I like the conversation. I like what we talked about. I like the flow of it. You know what? Yeah, I can see partnering with them and trust. Okay, 100% trust. Get to know somebody, not blind trust. I didn't say blind trust, and I didn't say suspicion trust. I didn't say no trust. I said smart trust, right? Trust but verify. That's what I'm saying. Zone 2, smart trust. Okay, that's cool. Collaboration. Hey, you know what? I don't even like shallow conversations anyway. I love to get to know somebody. I want to do that. And the power behind that? And this is what I say. Hey, look, go back and think about it. And look, you may not agree. And that's okay. Don't feel pressure. It's okay. Because you may want to participate with somebody else. I may not be the one. And that's okay too. Guess what? That person gets, they don't feel pressure. They don't feel like, oh, okay, I got to talk to this person again. oh my, okay, man, I gotta get, so how do I get out of this conversation, right? Like people are, you don't know what's going on in people's minds. And you know what we do? We just get on the phone and just start chirping. And you don't even know if they want to be on the phone with you. You don't even know if they click with you. You don't even know if they like you. You don't know. But we as people are out here just casually just talking to me. Like, hey, la, 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 la. Like, what is that? But if we slow down to speed up just to ask, hey, do you want to participate with me in zone 2? That's it. That's the first question, really. I promise you, it'll revolutionize your life. It'll save you a lot of time, a lot from having heartache and pain through this thing. And then now you go from gullibility and suspicion and indecisiveness to now good judgment. And now you're really aligned to thinking as one to say, okay, I'm evaluating him through this lens and I'm evaluating her through this lens. And that's all you're asking. I'm looking for a shot. I'm not looking for a handout, just a hand up. Now, there are people who come out here and they say this, James, I let the person know what my expectations are. And let me tell you why that is not a wise thing to do. Because when you think about expectations, here's what expectations are. They're to the individual, not to a team, not to a person, not to people or a group. Expectations are to a level of the individual. So when you're saying, these are my expectations, what happens is psychologically, this person now feels the pressure like they have to perform in order for them to even have access. So now this person's like, okay, well, if I don't do this, then I won't be able to talk to them. So I have to perform. So then now somebody's like, well, I mean, you did this in the first 3 months. Why are you not doing it now? Because they were performing, because you're setting expectations. And here's the question. It goes back to it. Why set expectation to a person that may not even be their expectation? It may not even be what they expect of themselves. Maybe they have different expectations in a relationship. Maybe they have their own expectation level to what they believe how they should live and operate. So the question is not, can they live up to my expectation or can you live up to their expectation? The question is, do they want to participate with you? So that's why I go back to say, always say, here's my ask, because the ask is you decide and I decide. We both decide. You got to go back and think about it. If you're not thinking through this process, hey, you're always going to get duped. Hey, when you're not thinking through the kingdom relationship process, you're always going to get duped. Of course. That's why the other zones don't work. That's how other people get mixed and mingle with people who's in zone 1. And they're like, they just don't pay attention. They're just gullible about everything. And then another person getting with somebody in zone 4, they're like, oh my gosh, they're skeptical about everything. They're a party pooper. They're constantly thinking negative. But it's not that. The question is, have you level set? So this is truly the thought process behind the trust quadrant. You got to ask yourself, which quadrant you're in. And look, how effective are you to getting someone that you want to partner with. Not saying you want to be in a relationship with them. I'm saying, hey, to go from not knowing this person to a friendship, well, how do we get to zone 2? It's the power of level setting. The power of level setting is the ask. Do you want to? Not assume they want to, knowing if they want to. Hey, go back and think about it. Because you may not want to, and that's okay. Because here's a secret. Here in Ohio, I think there's over 10 million people, 10 plus million people just in Ohio. I think it's more than that. And half of them are men and women. And the power of this thing is you're only looking for one. You're not looking for 10. You're not looking for 15. You're not looking for 7. You're not looking for 5. You're just really looking for one person. You're one who wants to partner with you. It's them or someone else. And hey, and it's okay if they don't want to. But you got to be really cool with that. So with that, just understand, it's not easy to trust. A lot of people, they just struggle with this. And somebody's going to hear this and be like, James, I'm never going to leave my zone. And look, that's okay. I'm not telling you what you have to do. I'm just trying to give you some perspective so where you can make the right decision to say, hey, if I truly want to step into a kingdom relationship with someone that could potentially be the one for me, hey, the smart way to do it is to do it in zone 2, smart trust. So with that, I want to thank you so much for tuning into this episode called the Trust Quadrant. Please subscribe to the podcast and YouTube channel, and you have a great, great day. Thank you for listening in on today's episode. Please subscribe to the podcast and YouTube channel.